everybody, and welcome to Write Something Weird, your favorite literary show where we talk about creating cool art and building bookish communities. I'm Sophie Stern, a paranormal romance author in Kansas City. I'm here today with my wonderful guest, Andrea Romy. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Sophie. It's good to be on the show. It's good to, this is really exciting for me. Yeah.
Yay! Thank you so much for agreeing to come talk to me and let me pick your brain a little bit. Very excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about all things book.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll jump right in. Um, we were just talking before we started recording that you and I have both attended many book events, including some of the same where we've never actually met, but we've both been there. Um, what's your favorite thing about book events?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll start by saying I would definitely self-identify as an introvert. So
Okay.
when I put a book out in the world, I'm like, I don't know if I can handle these book events. I don't know how to do this. My first event was at Half Price Books down in Olathe,
Cool.
and it was an event that my husband Jay called and like set up for me because I was too scared to ask myself.
That's sweet.
And so I showed up on the morning and I didn't know what to expect. I'd read some article about here's all the things you need to bring with you to your book event. So I had a black
Yeah.
tablecloth and pens and all the things. Sat down and then they opened the doors of the store and immediately like people just started talking to me. It was so cool.
I
It was
love
so
that.
cool. Well, it was like an ideal first event and like I started to loosen up a little bit. Like I had no pitch for my book at all. I was trying to figure out how to explain it to people.
Yeah.
But the thought the whole event went really well, but the thought I walked away with is that book people are awesome.
Oh, I love
And
that.
even though I'm an introvert, like I really enjoy talking about books, mine, but also any books in general.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna survive these book events just fine because book people are awesome. So
I
that's kind
love
of
that.
my favorite thing. Like since then, of course, I've done a range of events, and you know this
Yeah.
too. Like you go to the really big events, and there's people lined up to talk to you at your
Yeah.
table, and you go to the really tiny events, and maybe two people show up.
Yeah.
And either way, like book people are awesome and you get
I
to
love
talk
that.
about your book with people
Mhm.
that want to hear about it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. I think book people are awesome. And I love book events for that same reason. It's so nice to be like surrounded by people who love to read. I love that.
yeah, for sure. And it's not just the people walking up to your table, it's the
Mhm.
people who are sitting next to you, the other authors. Like
Yeah.
you make connections, you find out about new events that they've been to and you haven't, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I had an event where I showed another author how to like get their Square set up so they could
Oh,
take credit card payments. Like
yeah.
it's just this cool alchemy of everyone there is there to read and to enjoy reading,
Mhm.
talk about books. And so they're just really lovely spaces to be in.
I love that analysis. I totally agree with you. And I feel like the book community is very nurturing in that way. Yeah, when I went to my first event, very similarly, I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know what the other authors would be like or what the readers would be like, and it ended up being just a vibe. It was so fun. I loved it.
What was
Um,
your event?
so my first event was Show Me Your Books. It was here in Kansas City. It was back in 2019, and I made it the last year they held it. And it was really fun. And I do tend to be a little more extroverted, but even with that in mind, it was like a lot to take in. Um, so what advice would you give to readers or writers who want to attend an event but don't know like if it's for them or maybe they're nervous?
Yeah, and I get that because walking in, especially if you're maybe a little socially awkward, like sometimes I am, you
Hmm.
don't want to get into a sales pitch that you have no idea how to get out of.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
that's probably the scariest thing is people come in, they love books, they want to look at the books, but they don't know how to, they want to interact, but they also don't want to get stuck in a sales pitch.
Yeah,
So I would say you're going to get more out of it if you talk to the authors,
yeah.
but also like have an escape. Like,
I love that. Have a
well, I
plan.
love hearing about your book. I'm gonna do a loop and see
Hello.
what everyone else has before I make
Mhm.
a decision and plan to like
Yeah.
walk out with one book. Or like, hey, I only do e-readers. Can I take your
Mhm.
card? And most
Yeah.
authors, unless they're like completely pushy salespeople, which
Yeah.
not, are gonna be fine with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, talk to people. That's you're gonna find new awesome books to read if you do that.
I love that. Yeah, that's really good advice. And you're right. I have had people come up to my table and be like, I only listen to, audiobooks or I read from my local library. I'm never offended by that as an author. But yeah, you can take someone's card, you can take a picture of their books, you can ask questions. Yeah, I
I send
really like
people
that
to the
advice.
library. I send people to the library all the time
Oh
because
yeah.
I got my books in the Johnson County and the Northland Library,
Okay,
Mid-Continental,
cool.
and Kansas City. So I'll like if someone comes up and they're like, "Oh, funds are a little tight. I can't really buy anything right
Yeah.
now." Like, my book is in the library. Here you go. I give them
Yeah.
a card and it says where it is because I want readers. I don't it doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether they're buying it from me or reading it at the library.
Right. I love that. And I think that really captures that for many authors, like us included, we write because we want readers to have that experience with us, right? Like it's not necessarily like I want your $5. It's more like I want you to experience this cool thing that I did.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of cool things, you wrote a book, a standard book of anything. And this is, yep, I see it. And this is a cozy fantasy. So, quick, fun, short story. I work with your husband at my day job, and he loaned me your book. And I kept it at my desk and I read it every day on my lunch break. And I just kept it there because I was like nervous about taking it home or anything. So anytime he came by, I was like, it's safe. It's right. It's on my shelf. Um, and I could just tell how much you cared about the story when you were writing it. Like it really showed through your character development and the way you crafted your story. What surprised you about writing this book?
Mhm. Um, well, I didn't expect I kind of did it as an experiment to see if I could write
Oh,
a book. It wasn't like I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna publish, I didn't have a plan. It was just
okay.
let's see if I can actually do this.
Yeah.
And then I had gotten maybe a third of the way in, 30 or 40,000 words, and then COVID hit. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
perfect, I have time.
Okay.
But
You were like,
it's
I'm ready.
interesting, like the some of the circumstances kind of made their way into the book.
Mhm.
So for example, the a lot of what happens in my book centers around this magical tree. And it kind of at a more meta level, it focuses on this community that's had this collective trauma
Yeah.
and how do they heal from that. And that in a very like COVID book kind of way reflects what we all went through
Mhm.
was we all had this weird thing happen to us and now how do we move on from that. So that surprised me that it made its way in. I didn't really plan for that, but that's where all our minds were at the time.
Yeah.
So I
That's
don't know if
really
you had that
interesting.
experience, like if you wrote a book during COVID, if you had something similar.
Yeah, I did write a book during COVID, and it's really interesting how that's what surprised you because I feel like sometimes when I'm writing, I will sit down and plan for my story to be like over here, and then it ends up over there. And so many times, like I definitely process things happening in my life through my writing. Is that how you are too?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And
And you think
oh,
that like you can plan all day long and have a plot structure, but
yeah.
sometimes the story does what it wants.
It does. It really does. And what's interesting to me is I will go back and look at older stories that I've written, and I will see bits and pieces of myself from that period in my life. So I'll be like, "Oh, I remember when I wrote this scene and like where I was and how I was feeling." And so I think it's so interesting to have little elements of like COVID times in your story, because you're right, it was like this very shared trauma, but also something that impacted different people at different stages of their lives, right?
Right. Yeah. No, that's really interesting that it's kind of a time capsule for so
Yeah,
I look back several years later, I was writing it in 2020, 2021. I look
yeah,
back now and I'm like, oh, that's kind of where I was then in a way.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's really interesting. I also like what surprised me about it was I the whole plotting thing. Like I thought I would be more of a, plan it all out and a
yeah.
very structured planning type person. And I got into it and the story goes where it wants, the characters go where it's a very woo-woo thing to say that writers say and everyone else is like, you knew what you were doing all along, but no, it kind of you've got to let it go a little bit.
Yeah,
If you hold too tightly and try and force it where you want to go, it gets kind of stilted. So
yeah.
that surprised me that I wasn't a planner, that I'm more of a pantser.
Okay. You're totally right, though. I feel like the moments when we as writers are able to let go, that's where the story like really blossoms and where we get like these great moments with like high energy, high passion,
Yeah,
lots of emotions. Whereas, at least for me, like when I'm writing and I'm like, this is how this scene goes, tends to be a little dry.
yeah, exactly the same. And yeah, the magic happens when you don't hang on to it so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you let go? How do you let go and just let yourself write? Do you have a secret?
Um, I give myself permission to deviate from the outline.
Okay.
So I do have a plot structure that I kind of follow, but it's very high level, like, okay, at about this point,
Yeah.
some kind of twist or something, some kind of pressure should be happening.
Okay.
And so that's broad enough where it gives me permission in that moment to figure out what that is.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
also sometimes I have to like step away from the computer and go
Mm.
write out a scene by hand or
Okay.
go for a walk and like
Yeah.
into my recorder on my phone what's going to
Yeah.
happen in the scene, and just changing the environment sometimes helps me get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I agree. I think moving around as we write, writing in different places, writing in different ways can be so helpful. Um, is that how you build worlds too? Because I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you about world building. Um, what is the most rewarding thing about building a world? But part two, do you move around when you're like dreaming up your world? Are you like, I sit, this is my world building chair? What does that look like?
I had to laugh a little bit at this question because I never considered world building as one of my strengths.
Okay.
I actually, and
It
Brandon
is. It
Sanderson
is
has,
one of your strengths.
oh, thank you. Yeah, Brandon Sanderson has a really good series of like writing, plotting, world building, um,
Yeah.
teachings that he does, and his world building advice is spectacular. So I'm kind of stealing what he has preached a little bit,
Okay.
which is if you try and build from the bottom up, like, okay, here's my world, and let me make up a language for them that like works logically. And now let me design all of their clothing. And that way lies madness. Don't have
Yeah.
spend years. I mean, Tolkien, how long did he spend coming up with like the
Oh
elven language
yeah.
and the lore behind? And he did it because he loved it. But
Right.
you could spend years and still not have a completely fleshed out world. Um,
Yeah.
so a lot of what I do is just, okay, here's the story I want to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I've got some magic in here. Here's the
Yeah.
magic that I want.
Okay.
So, and then you'd make it serve the story more. And then
Yeah.
you get to the point where she has to pay for something. Okay,
Yeah.
what kind of money do they use? And
Interesting.
so as I'm going, I'm thinking about, okay, I know these things about the world so far.
Mhm.
What kind of money fits in with what I know so far?
Okay.
So as
Yeah.
long as you're going along and making up things, as long as
Hmm.
they're consistent,
Yeah.
then it kind of works. So like
Yeah.
you wouldn't do, for example, you wouldn't do like coins for money
Hmm.
if it's a super high tech society, probably.
Yeah.
So
Probably
just
not. Yeah.
it's what's consistent and what do you need that serves the story.
I like that. And I like the idea of discovering as you write. I feel like that gives authors an opportunity to be playful with our stories and to have fun along with our characters. Because I know, at least for me, same thing, like I'll get to moments of my story and I'm like, oh, she had $1. And it's like, wait, did she have $1? What did she
What
have?
did she have? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
that
that's fun.
informs what kind of society there is just by how
Yeah.
much money is there. Or what kind of clothing is she wearing? And
Yeah.
what does that tell you about the world and
Yeah.
what's available? Yeah.
Yeah. And how can I play with it? How can I use this to make the story interesting? Does she have 37 pockets? And so she's always losing things on her person? You know what?
Like society is based around pockets for
Yeah.
a very specific reason, like people don't feel comfortable leaving their belongings lying around anywhere.
Yeah.
So they've got to
Why
take
not?
them with them. And then
Yeah.
what does that say about the world? That is not safe for there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you can expand from there. And then you got a super interesting world that you didn't spend years trying to.
Yeah. I love that. When you write that book, please dedicate it to me. That's very cool.
Steve,
Um,
many pockets.
many pockets. Um, but let's talk about your trilogy as it comes to a close. For me, I hate endings. I don't like ending my series. I don't like ending my books. I just want to play with my characters forever. Um, there are moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's done. I'm so excited. But there's also, for me, like a little bit of mourning. Um, so how does it feel knowing your trilogy is almost done?
Exactly that. Yeah, it's so funny because book two, I wrote it so quickly and it was an expansion of the world from the
Mhm.
first one, and I had all these great ideas I was throwing in.
Yeah.
And book three, it's okay, no more new worlds, no more like new main characters. Here's the
Yeah.
world I've got. Here are all the threads I've introduced everywhere else.
Oh,
Now, how do I tie those all together? So it's more like
yeah.
a puzzle than a creative
Interesting.
expression for me. So it's been for me it's been difficult. Um,
Yeah.
it's getting to the place now where I know where it's going and I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to like finish it, get it out there in the world. But when I
Oh,
started working on it, it was a little bit of mourning, I think, that okay, this is the last one. We've got to say goodbye to these characters. How do we do this in a way that, the readers that have followed me so far that they feel
yeah.
they've gotten their money's worth, that I haven't left anything hanging. I don't leave things where they don't make sense. Um, so yeah, I'd feel like this one has been more of a brain teaser than the other two.
That's really interesting. What an interesting way to approach concluding your series. I think you're right. It really is like you're solving the puzzle, and it can be a little stressful as a writer too to like keep track of all those questions that you raised and the things you brought up. I had a friend one time who was writing a series, and somebody left a review for book number two, and they were like, I loved this, but what happened to the envelope that Fred found in his pocket? And my friend was like, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Completely forgot about that and was like, book three, I will answer your question. So sometimes as writers, I feel like we are really, really good at asking those questions. And it can be a little more challenging to reel them in and go, here's the answer. I want this to be good and interesting and smart and fun.
Yeah. And you almost like combining that with what we talked about earlier of like letting go a little bit and like letting
Yeah.
magic happen. It's hard to balance those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah, book three
It
has been
is.
challenging.
Writing is one of those things where it's so fun, but it's so hard at the same time.
In equal measures. Yeah, one day I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a hack. I don't know how to do it.
Oh no, you're not.
And
You're
then
great.
the I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best
It
thing ever.
is.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny, just the highs and lows.
Oh yeah. It's very when I think anytime you're creating art, right? It's hard because we really do pull out our hearts and we put it on the page and we ask people to accept it and to love it the way we do. So there's risk there, right? Like a lot of emotional risk in writing. And it can be so rewarding, but yeah, very scary.
Yeah. And as you're writing like sequels and you know
Hmm.
the first ones out there in the world. So you're seeing
Yeah.
people respond in real time, but
Yeah.
also you're trying to like keep your fingers in your ears and not pay attention to that noise
Yeah.
as you're writing the fall.
Absolutely.
So that's tricky too.
That yes, no, yes, it's
Like,
it's
oh, you
it's
really
a lot.
like this character? Maybe we can. You try not to let it influence you, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is really challenging as a writer. See, we have to balance all of these different things, and it's not just the writing part. Okay, but speaking of writing, writing advice. What would you say to new writers who want to write cozy fantasy? Where should they start?
wow. Well, I would always tell writers to read the genre that they're writing. So
Okay.
I know that's very generic advice.
No, I think it's great.
But yeah, if you're starting in a new genre, read what's out there. So cozy, it would
Yeah.
definitely be like Legends and Lattes. It would be the Spell Shop.
Yeah.
Um, depending on like which direction you want to go, uh,
Yeah.
there's all these branching. There's cozy that's kind of more adventure fairy tale, and then there's cozy that's more like slice of life and
Okay.
fantasy.
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception out there, and I've run into this where people think that cozy means no stakes.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
I've heard that a few times, and I'm like, no, no, there's stakes.
Yeah.
But the stakes are not, oh no, the world's going to end, the kingdom's going to collapse. The
Mm.
stakes are this one person, or this
Yeah.
town, or this bakery is going to go on.
Yeah.
Like the stakes are actually more connected to real life and
Mhm.
what we go through. So, how do you write about those stakes? They're very important for the characters. So,
Yeah.
how do you write about that in a way where you're capturing that feeling of this is very important, even though it's not a kingdom being torn apart?
Yeah. That is really interesting. What a good question, too. Because you're right. I feel like as a reader, when I'm reading a story, I am so much more invested when it's, Lana's aunt is about to lose her bookstore on the corner that she's owned for 30 years. Like, to me, I'm like, oh no, like, what is going to happen?
What are they gonna do? How are they gonna? Yeah,
Yeah. How are they going to save the bookstore or, yeah, the bakery? Um, that's really interesting. The stakes, yeah, you can have those high stakes, but they're definitely, it sounds like they're more relatable to readers, I think, on some level.
yeah. So you have to. I guess when you're writing cozy, it is kind of more of write what you know than than
Yeah.
maybe a high fantasy where the elves are warring with the dwarves and there's a kingdom in turmoil versus
Yeah.
oh no, I'm going to lose my bookshop. Like
Yeah.
that feels more relatable, but also maybe more of your readers have actually experienced that. So you need to be very honest
Yeah.
emotionally about how that feels and what you might do about it.
Yeah. And it also gives you the chance to like connect that to your community that you've built within the story, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things I really love about cozies is you usually have a whole cast of characters coming in and like it's a very lovely like I don't know Stars Hollow kind of feeling if you're a
Okay.
Gilmore Girls
Yeah,
fan.
yeah, yeah.
It's a very like you got all these strange, wonderful people around you who are gonna help you out, help you figure
Yeah.
usually it's not like, oh, I don't trust my neighbors and I can't go out. That's usually not the
Yeah.
vibe. It leans a lot on how lovely people actually are when you ask for
Yeah.
help and when you reach out to people, which I think is kind of a nice thing to read from time to time.
I think it is too. And I think that's a really like lovely and helpful note for us to end on, even though I don't want this conversation to end. I'm having a great time. Andrea, you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time that you took to tell us all about writing and all about your stories.
Well, thank you for having me. This is wonderful.